Hi, I'm Jackie from Absolute Corporate Events, and today I'm chatting to my very good friend, the lovely Lena from wonderful Copenhagen. Copenhagen has come out of COVID and pandemic with great success, so I'm hoping the UK are going to learn some tips today.
Hi Jackie, lovely to see you and thanks for having me. I'm Lene Corgan from the Copenhagen Convention Bureau, also called Wonderful Copenhagen. I'm the Head of Business Development for the Business Events team, and I'm based in our London office, and so therefore have the pleasure of dealing with the lovely Jackie on a regular basis.
Yes, and recently we've been talking about a trade show that is taking place in Copenhagen next year. And one of the reasons for me speaking to Wonderful Copenhagen today is because they seem to have handled the pandemic and coming out of COVID extremely well. So the entire of Denmark. And I have worked with the Bella Centre many times. I actually think it's one of the best convention centres in Europe. Last time I was there, it was going under great renovations, which I know you're going to talk about later. But tell me a bit how you've handled Denmark with such great success.
I think a lot of it came down to that we as a country went into lockdown as one of the first following Italy back in March, before they actually had any confirmed casualties due to COVID. The country shut down, closed its borders, and everybody went home, working from home and so forth. So they were able to control it quite early on. So that really enabled us to already start a gradual safe opening as soon as we went into mid-April, actually. We all heard the reports over here of the primary schools opening up, nurseries opened mid-April. That also included shortly after hairdressers, physios. In May, we then followed on with the opening of shopping centres, restaurants, cafes. And late May, it was more the cultural institutions, zoos and amusement parks. So we've seen this really slow, gradual opening up of the society, people going back into working in their offices, of course, with social distancing in place. It sort of went from 2 meters now down to 1. But it's also enabled us to slowly sort of get used to this new normal that we now in the UK are only sort of just coming to terms with. How do we deal with that after having sort of been home for quite a while? So yeah, I think the quick lockdown really was the key thing here. But of course, all governments have to deal with it in different ways depending on what the situation has been where they are.
It's excellent to see. And I actually read that you could actually take up to 500 packs, which is quite extraordinary in any of your venues. But I guess that is with some social distancing. And I guess there are some rules around that too. This is for events rather than...
Yeah. It's we've sort of seen, like with opening of the normal society, also on the event sector, we've seen a gradual opening. So we started off with 100 people, well, 50, I think, back in June. Then it became 100 early July. And in August, we'll see it increase further to 200. That's normal gatherings, that being a wedding or anything like that. For events, we've actually been able to host conferences for up to 500 people since June.
Amazing.
The sort of, there's some regulations around that. One of the things being that the majority of the delegates actually have to be seated throughout most of the events. But for a conference, of course, that is more than possible. And then obviously you have a breakout. So, you know, we've had also therefore been able to try and test many of the measures, you know, finding out what works and what could we do better and so forth throughout this period. So it puts us in a really nice position to be able to handle events already now.
Yeah, which is great to hear for the MICE industry, of course. So we know Copenhagen is very green and very clean, but great to hear that you can do events up to 500. That's quite a jump forward. And I guess there's checks at the airport as well.
Yeah, I mean, once you arrive at Copenhagen Airport, as you come out through arrivals, there is actually the opportunity to get tested. It's voluntary, but anybody who arrives can get tested. It's free of charge, and you will find out within 72 hours what the result is. And that, of course, gives people certain reassurance, hopefully, providing they're okay, that they can carry on with, let's say, the event they're at, or even if they're visiting friends and relatives. Because we're lucky as well that from 27th of June, the borders opened up again, and that includes all EU countries plus the UK can enter Copenhagen or Denmark now, providing that the cases of COVID-19 within that country is below 20 per 100,000 inhabitants. So it's really nice that the borders are now open, people can come back in. There is a restriction currently that you need to have 6 nights accommodation. However, if you're coming for a business purpose, it could be, I guess, a conference or a site inspection even, you know, then of course you are allowed to enter the country for less than 6 days. That will be a long site inspection otherwise. So that's again really, really, really positive that we can progress with our events.
I don't know. I think I'm coming for 6 nights in Copenhagen. So
we'd love to have you for 6 nights, Jacquie.
So anyway, I guess one of the things I wanted to ask is, because you're renowned for your F&B, and I spent some time at your suggestion in the meatpacking district last year. And as much as I'd love to go to Noma, I don't quite think my expenses run to that yet. But how's the restaurants doing? Are they actually open as normal as well? Because I think with any event, you want to experience the culture, don't you? And I think part of that is the eating, the drinking, experiencing different culinary things and visiting a city and looking around it. So is the restaurant trade open as well?
Yes, the restaurant trade is opened mid-May. As with many other countries, obviously the food and beverage, the restaurants, hospitality was obviously hit quite badly during the months or the time they had to be closed. So it was great for us to be open up quite quickly there. Yes, we have got an amazing gastronomic scene in Copenhagen, lots of Michelin star restaurants. I always say to people, like, not everybody, like you quite rightly said, can go to Noma necessarily, known for being the world's best restaurant for many years. But it does mean that the standard of the food scene in Copenhagen is quite high, also in what I would call maybe a more normal restaurant that the likes of, you know, you and I and our delegates would go to.
Yes.
And it is such a big part of an event. We all know that when a delegate comes back, if there's something they weren't happy about, you know, it's often, you know, if it's the first thing we'll hear about, wouldn't it? So we all love our food and drink. So yeah, it's great that obviously that part of the events as well can carry on as it was before. But again, of course, it is with health and safety measures in place. But in Copenhagen at the moment, there is no need to wear masks, not in the restaurants either. So, you know, it's they've taken a slightly different approach to that. But there's a huge focus on hand hygiene throughout. You know, the hand sanitizer is the new moisturizer, I think.
Yes, I know. So I know Villa Copenhagen, I've just put an inquiry into for this venue, and it was due to open, I think, earlier in the year. I know it was put on hold. Is the grand opening happening?
It has happened. 1st of July was the grand opening of the Villa Copenhagen, long anticipated by many, not least everyone in Copenhagen. A great new hotel addition to the Copenhagen hotel portfolio. It's a 5-star hotel right in the city centre, 390 bedrooms, 1,200 conferences. It's got gorgeous rooftop bar overlooking Tivoli Gardens, and it has a real focus on sort of what they call conscious luxury. So thinking sustainability into a luxury product, which I think is really quite key, especially for a city like Copenhagen, where sustainability is such a key part of who we are, what we do, and also what we include in our events. So it's been nice to see such a high level property really including that throughout their plans and the development of the hotel.
And quite a large property in the city centre.
It is, and it was much needed. We've got a city that's generally quite full. So yeah, it's been nice to have a new hotel opening up. And despite, you know, obviously everything having sort of had to take a bit of a break for a few months, there has still been some really exciting projects still progressing during COVID. So we're also seeing in September this year the opening of a new conference facilities, or congress, should I say, by the airport, called the Hangar. New big space, up to 2,000 people, 25 cars can get indoors. So a nice addition on the sort of larger conference space. Then for sort of the more incentive sides, we've just seen opening of a new funky venue located by our street food market, Reffen. It's called Werkstatt 167. Really sort of
say that.
Oh, I know, my best German. But, you know, sort of more of a product launch type venue or funky gala dinner in an area full of sort of startups and great little pop-up restaurants and bars. So lots of new things happening. And of course, also the Bella Centre that you mentioned at the beginning, Jacquie, developing their new hall. They'll be able to take another 7,000 people there. It will be pillarless. So yeah, it's really nice that despite everything that we've all been through, that we're still going through, that there's still some great developments happening.
Yes, it seems really good that we've got some positive news that Copenhagen is striding forward, seems to have come out of lockdown with some normality, but with some safety measures in place. So I think we should all consider Copenhagen for our next events. I know we've got a couple of inquiries in with you.
Yes, and thank you so much. I think maybe you should come over, have a little look at the villa, check it out for your event, and also see all the new stuff. And then also, of course, the more people we see traveling and coming over and finding out actually it is actually moving forward and Copenhagen can host these events for me. You know, that's obviously what we're hoping to see over the coming weeks and months as we hopefully all head in the right direction. So we'd love to have you over, Jacquie, to look at everything.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm booking my 6 nights now. I think I've got holiday coming up, so absolutely. Thank you so much, Lene. It's really exciting to hear the positive news coming out of Copenhagen, and I'm sure I'll see you there very soon.
It would be lovely to see you, Jacquie, and thank you so much for the opportunity to chat today.
Always a pleasure. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.